Hello frequencies. You are tuning in Aspirants Frequency. In the series of Economics Survey 2023-2024, we have seen up to 9 chapters, and this is the combination of 10th, 11th, and 12th chapter. There are not much concepts in these chapters, the industry, infrastructure, and services. Previously, we have seen the agriculture and food management. More people have seen those videos, and I think you have got something from those. So likewise, let's get into this chapter directly. The concepts discussed here are the coal gasification. It's nothing but, see, we are intended, we have that given the nationally determined contribution target for the Paris agreement to reduce the 1.5 degrees Celsius, reduce the carbon emission, and another some other Panchamrit targets we have set, like to 45 percentage of reducing the 45 percentage of emission from the GDP, and reducing and creating 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel electricity. Likewise, so for this kind of achieving these targets, we need some innovative measures to counter this emission. So likewise, basically around 76 percentage of the energy generation primarily in India comes from coal. So this is the main target to reduce the carbon emission. So for this, we have the method of coal gasification. It is nothing but, instead of burning the coal directly, we are just powdering the coal and heating it at some 1800 degrees Celsius, and here we got release a synthetic gas, that is a syngas. The syngas is getting cooled in a cooling chamber, and the gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, then hydrogen, then some other gases like methane, these all get separated, and then through purification method the unwanted gases are get removed, and the wanted gases like hydrogen, methane, which are used for as a fuel for generating electricity, are get used. And this is the process of coal gasification. We have set a target of 100 million ton of coal gasification by 2030, which is aligning with the target of achieving the net carbon emission in ultimately 2070. Then the viability gap funding, which is the financial gap which the private sectors are expecting from the government to produce for the capital and other requirements. The viability gap, the viability funding is provided by the government. Then the biosimilars are nothing but they are the biological components which are similar but not identical. Let's take example of the generic medicines. We are producing a lot of generic medicines which has the same API contents and the same key manufacturing ingredients which are used, but they are not identical to the drug which is produced earlier. This is the biosimilars. You can relate it with the generic medicine, the biosimilars. Then the Schedule M drugs. See, according to the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940, there are a lot of schedules classified in this. In the Scheduled M, drugs are categorized as the good manufacturing produce practices. Drugs, like for example, they have to follow lab requirements, then testing, then documentation. All this process has to be strictly followed in this category of Schedule M drugs. Then the technical textiles. Technicals are nothing but the textiles which are used for a specific function, technicalities. The technical textiles, there are a lot of technical textiles. The technical textiles here every technical textile has a specific function to perform, specific functions. For example, you can take textiles like the agrotech, then packtech, which is used for packaging, then the mobitech, which is used in automobiles, then the geotech, which is used for construction, geological purposes. Then the space tech, then oikotech, which is basically the for ecological purposes. The agrotech, we can, these are some of the technical textiles which are used. Each one you can give an example, like for agrotech for making a synthetic, or the textile fishing nets, for example, or any fertilizer or something. Then the packing tech, the manufacturing packs for packing the products. Then Mobitech, the automobile products are used. Then the geotech, then the space tech. These are some of the technical textiles. Concept of the technical textile. The government also announced the scheme of National Technical Textile Mission for promoting this kind of technical textiles, which is also basically for climate change and also improving the efficiency of the textiles, and also producing some, and also promoting the indigenous industries and the MSMEs. Then the white goods. White goods are nothing but the electronic goods like AC, washing machine, the dryers, heaters. The name white comes from, like, basically these goods are mostly in color of white, so these are classified as a white goods. Just remember as like that. Then the services are divided basically into the contact services and non-contact services. Contact services are like the transport, communication service. These are some of the contact services which can be related. Then the non-contact services are like the software services, then BPO services. These are some of the non-contact services. The concepts here quoted here are just to know what are these things and some basic idea about these concepts. External commercial borrowing, it's basically that any Indian entity, which can be a private or a public sector unit, which borrows from a foreign country in the foreign currency. This is the external, that is external from foreign. We are commercially borrowing. It is basically a part of external debt, which is a part of external debt. The external debt can be in the form of like loans. You can get it in the form of loans by mortgaging security transactions, or you can use the foreign currency convertible bonds. These are some of the types of external commercial borrowing instruments. Then the external debt, which are seeing in the external debt, the external commercial borrowing is a part which takes around 18.14% of the GDP. Out of the 18 total external debt, we have 18.4% as the external in the form of external commercial borrowing. It is around 18.4% of the GDP, which means the remaining part we are taking in the form of internal debt. Internal debt in the form of from RBI or through debt marketing in the by G6 or some other instruments. We are borrowing through the internal debt and the external debt, external commercial borrowing. Likewise, take a concept, just know the basics and hyperlink these things with their core basic areas. Likewise, the external commercial borrowing derives from external debt, then internal debt, read the internal debt, then the debt concept basically in the Indian context. Then the Industry 4.4. Industry 4.4 is a industrial revolution which has been gradually evaluated from Industry 1.0, Industry 2.0, Industry 3.0, then now Industry 4.0. Industry 1.0 is nothing but using started to mechanization using steam engine. With the invention of steam engine, the process of mechanization initially gets started. Then Industry 2.0, the assembly line gets started using the electrical energy. With the engine production, we have started to produce more energy, and the electrical energy used in the assembly line. Then the Industry 3.0, we are more advanced to the automation using robots and computer technologies. We are controlling the robots, which automatically led to the automation. Then Industrial 4.0, we are combining all these things like IoT, cyber physical systems, then artificial intelligence, machine learning. For example, take a humanoid robot which process itself which senses the external surroundings, which process itself and itself takes the decision. The whole thing is the industrial 4.0. Just have a basic idea about it. Then the PPP models. PPP model is nothing but the public private partnership models. There are many number of public PPP models. For example, we have build operate transfer model, then build operate lease transfer model, then design build operate transfer model, then operation operate maintenance and transfer model. See, from the word itself you can take the meaning of the word. Like for example, it you can, from the word you can know that it's between the public and the private. So public, that is the government, do some part, then the private companies do some part. In the build operate transfer model, the private sectors build a particular for example, take a building for a company. See, for example, take a NH highway. For a highway contract, the private party, for example, consider L&T. L&T gets built, then it starts the operation, then it transfers the NH to the government. Then the build operate are giving it to the lease for certain period. The private itself leases for certain period and then transfer to the government. Then design build operate transfer means here the project design build. So you can connect the words with this, then you can know the meaning of how the public and private gets played. Here in this chapter they have dealt with the design build finance operate and transfer model. Then there is also another thing called hybrid annuity model, which is nothing but the combination of two or three models which we have discussed earlier. For example, in the hybrid annuity model, the engineering procurement and control plus the build operate transfer model, this took 40% and this took, so it's nothing but, see, for example, in the NH highway, in the, for example, considering building an NH, the engineering cost, the procurement cost, all are borne by the private. EPC, all borne by the private. That is the 40% of the capital. The project is completed, then the 40% of the capital is given by the government. Then the remaining 60% is given annually to the private. Given annually, hybridly, the annuity model, which is nothing but the remaining 60% is, for example, consider 6 years. In 6 years, the 60% is given to the private sector in 10% with the some extra benefits. It is given to the private. That is combining the two basic models in the PPP model. It's one of the successful model which has been implemented in many of the projects. Then the global partnership on AA, which is one of the like-minded countries, which are like-minded countries get together for regulating and developing a market. For this, the global partnership on AA has been developed. That's it for the concepts. Then let's get into the data and organization. The purchasing managers index, which is nothing but a data which is sourced from the managers who are doing purchasing in the manufacturing and also service. Kindly note that it also includes the service sector. Consider there is a manager in an industry. Uh, he goes and purchases for the industry for the raw materials or the labor. Then these are the purchases which is doing, or any finished goods or intermediate goods is purchasing. So the purchasing manager gets asked how much is purchased, and from this data the capital goods or any other goods, how much is purchased and how much the market is demanding and supply. The demand supply constraints are getting organized and the data is announced. In this, if there is a purchase in the index, if the value is greater than 50, it considers that the economy is expanding. There is an expanding economy, more money supply and more market demand supply is creating. If there is less than 50, index is less than 50, it indicates contractionary economy. It's the purchasing manager index. It is the survey is taken by a non-profit organization called Institute of Supply and Management. This is the non-profit organization which takes the survey purchasing managers index. Then the emission rate, this mostly comes from the cement, which is 7% and steel 12%. I will just read these data fastly so that you can also simply, the concepts are basic important to explain here. The data and the schemes which you can read it, and I will just go through this once. So kindly bear with me. The coal and power generation, this is what we have seen in the previous why coal gasification is doing. We are promoting this because the 76% of the power generation in India comes from the coal sector, which is highly carbon emission. So this is the reason. Then the manufacturing output from MSMEs comes around 35.4%, which is a good number, which is progressively increasing. So there is a push the government is doing to the MSMEs through Mudra loans and some other many schemes for the MSME sectors. Then the World Investment Report by the UN Center for Trade and Development says the FDI inflow, in the rank of FDI inflow, India is ranked in the 15th rank. So from this we can say that how the FDI inflow is saying there is a growth in the economy and the stability of the economy is getting tested. Then the FDI equity inflow, it's not the debt, it's the equity inflow is significantly reducing because of the China's expansionary market. Due to this, the Indian equity FPI are shifting to Chinese market, but due to the domestic buyers, the net effect is somewhat reduced, so that India doesn't faces a high shock of this outflow or crowding out of the fund. Then the travel and tourism development index, which is given by the World Economic Forum, which is 39th, India is in the 39th rank. This is the data and the report which are significantly used in this intro and conclusions of our answers. Then the inland waterways also they have spoken. Inland waterway, it's basically to know some of the waterways. It's basically important in the prelims area. Some PVQ has been asked in the last year report, the National Waterway 4 or something. I don't know, remember. So kindly read this data. The National Waterway 1, Ganga, Waterway 3 in Kollam in Kerala. It's basically connecting the Vembanar Lake from north to south. Then the National Waterway for the Krishna River system, the National Waterway Brahmani and Mahanadi River system, then National Waterway 13, it's in Avium Canal in the Tamil Nadu region. So just go through these national waterways. Then let's get into the schemes. The green steel, through promoting the green steel, that is producing green steel, the PLI scheme has been announced. The production linked incentive scheme has been announced, so that for reducing the carbon emission. Janaushadhi Pariyojana and Jan Kendras, it's nothing but producing generic medicine at low cost, promoting it and producing it and delivering it to the people at low cost through Jan Kendras, the medical centers. This is Jan Kendras, this is government is promoting, so that it can reduce the out of pocket expenditure of the citizens, so that this out of pocket expenditure reduced can be used to do the other socio welfare activities like health, nutrition, then education of the children, so that the overall standard of living of the family gets increases. So that, see how you can connect a single scheme into the up to the final socio-economic welfare of the people. Likewise, connect the interconnected dots. Then the PM Mitra parks, like for producing integrated textile research apparel parks, for that is like in the hub and spoke model. You are creating the multimodal parks. That is, for example, you have a park here, central park, which is at a significant distance from all the resources like raw materials, water supply, labor supply, then economic benefits, like the park is located at industrialized area or semi-industrialized city, so that it creates a overall cyclical development of all the both. It benefits both the company, the government, and also the public welfare at a larger context. Then the national technical mission, which we have previously seen. Then the spec scheme for promotion of manufacturing electronic components and semiconductors, boosting the semiconductors in the current era with the push for dependency on semiconductors from the other countries like mostly China and US. So to reducing this dependency, we are promoting the semiconductor missions, the electronic manufacturing clusters, and the FAME, which is the faster adaptability of mobility in EV sector. For promoting EV, we have the FAME scheme, electrical vehicles to reduce the carbon emission in the vehicular pollution section, the electronic manufacturing clusters, then the national program on advanced chemistry cell battery storage. It is an important scheme because we are having the automobile assembly sectors, assembly lines, but the battery components like lithium, cobalt, and other components, these are the critical minerals which India is lagging of. So we are importing it from like Australia and Bolivia, which is a lithium triangle country. So these resources are, so it's basically to produce the battery cells by ourselves by just importing this critical mineral, so that the employment generation also increases and the dependency also gets reduced. Then the automatic number plate recognition system using the global navigation satellite system, so that it reduces the toll time. Currently the FASTag is in use. We all know that FASTag in use for the automatic toll collection. If there is automatic number plate recognition using the GPS in a particular area, if the car enters within this area, the number plate got recognized automatically through the sensors, so that the amount get reduced. Then it reduces the significantly waiting period, and it also efficiently increase the income of the government. It is a win-win situation for both the citizen and also government. So this scheme is under play. Then the Sagar Setu app for promoting the major and minor ports. We have major ports around in the area. We have the Jawaharlal port, Mumbai port, Kandla port, Mangaluru port, then Kochi port, then Chennai port, Ennur port, Visakhapatnam, Kolkata. Like we have the 13 major ports and some other 22 minor ports, so to promote their infrastructure efficiency and also export boosting, we are using the Sagar Setu app. Then the Udan scheme for Uda Desh Ki Aam Nagrik, which is for providing a low cost airline facility to everyone. The government is promoting this through that they are building airports, then low cost tickets and storage systems for transporting the goods and services. Then the Digiyatra, which is basically known that while traveling, it's a personal, it's like the facial recognition system is used, so that there is a lesser waiting period in the airports with increased efficiency. Then the Prasad scheme for identifying, enriching, and integrating the religious places to promote tourism, culture, and also boosting the local employment. Consider if there is if there are in the Chartam, we are connecting the four Naths like the Badrinath, Kedarnath. We are connecting it through this Chartam project. Then there is more investments, the employment get generated, the culture of the local area get also promote. There is a overall development in the city through this Prasad scheme. Then the Swamya special window for affordable and mid-income housing. PM Awas, we all know that PM Awas, which works under urban and rural. Likewise, Swamya is categorizing to mid-income housing who are not accessible under the PM Awas schemes can get into the mid-income housing scheme, so that they can also afford the housing loans or some other benefits from the government. Then the future skills prime by the Ministry of Electronic Information Technology and the National Communication Center. That is basically to upskill, reskill the IT professionals, because there is a, in the previous also in the employment chapter we have seen there is a skill gap between the industry and the academia. The graduate who is coming out has a skill which doesn't matches with the industrial demand. So there is a skill gap. This skill gap is gets bridged through the schemes like Future Skills Prime, then Skill India Mission. These are the schemes which are using here. Then the Drone Shakti program for promoting drones in various sectors like the agri sector for fertilizer spraying, then in the agriculture sector, and then for example telemedicine services, then transporting goods. These are the Drone Shakti program which is efficiently used. Then the National Deep Tech Startups policy for promoting the deep tech startups. Then the Bharat 16 mission is under play. The Sanchar Sati portal for security and awareness regarding the cyber security awareness. Then the open network digital commerce, nothing but the e-commerce. It is a decentralized e-commerce and an open platform for promoting or selling their products through the departmental of for internal and investment and internal trade, which take care of this platform. Which some examples like Enam, then the Namayatri, which is an like it's significantly like the Ola, the it's like travel app. Then Enam, which you basically know that the selling the agri produce. Enam is a national agriculture marketing. Then the national monetization pipeline is nothing but a disinvestment scheme, so that the private sectors came into play, efficiency get increased. From this, around the government has planned around 6 lakh crore will be monetized within 2025. Then the Bharatmala Pariyojana project for expanding the national highways. Then the multimodal logistic parks for the national logistical pipeline, creating a logistic park which enhances through the hub and spoke model, which enhances the efficiency, transport dependency, and also efficient supply delivery. Then the dedicated freight corridor. You have to know that dedicated freight corridors, it is basically deals with the rail freight. It's not the road freight. It is a rail connectivity. Dedicated freight corridor. Currently, the eastern dedicated freight corridors is almost under a completed stage, from which is from Kolkata to UP or Delhi somewhere. The eastern freight corridor is under completion. Just kindly know what are these dedicated corridors in the north, south, east, and west. Where to where these freight corridors are getting connected. Then the Harit Sagar for the green port guidelines for promoting the carbon emission in the port sector, the maritime sector. The maritime sector, as Indian maritime sector, has also dedicated that within 2030 the Indian maritime sector will reduce the carbon emission to 50 percentage or less than 50 percentage or to null percentage. The rapid rail transit system between connectivity, creating a public connectivity through public transport system at a faster rate, so that which reduces the individual vehicular emissions. Then the Namami Ganga program, the national mission for clean Ganga river reservoir lines, are for reducing the pollution in river Ganga. These missions are under play. Then the India AA mission, promoting the global partnership for AI, which also seen from this the India AA mission has also started. The Airavate computer is under play. This is some of the schemes discussed. Then I also given the keywords which are for the basically intro and conclusions, or in any other part this can be used. The keywords can be used because the keywords directly fetches marks which can be used at anywhere. The backward and forward, which is like nothing but the government, or it's a public document. We have taken this from the public document, the economic survey. So these words can attract the examiners view to some extent, at least a 0.5 mark, which can gives us an enormous output. So these are the backward and forward linkages. Then deregulation. Then pharmacy of the world. India is considering as a pharmacy of the world. End-to-end valuation creation. Then plug and play facility. Then export import balance. Plug and play facility, which is basically in the public private partnership promotion. Then the export import balance, we have to balance both the export and also import. See, for example, because the deficit will get increased. So if the deficit get increased, we will get into the trouble of BOP crisis, which we have previously seen in the 1991, which will be a definite backdrop for India. So it's necessary to balance the export and import. The single window clearances should be made efficiently, so that there will be ease of doing business will get increased. So there will be more FDI inflow. The economic growth will be high significantly. The port-led industrialization, then the whole of government approach, then the pooled financing mechanism, then the asset recycling program. These are some of the I think we have completed in this industry infrastructure and the services sector. These are the concept, status, and organization in the schemes, keywords. I think to some extent you have get some inputs for your exam. So kindly just, if you don't have time, just read the chapter once, then directly get into there, or just read these concepts once in the single pager notes. I will also provide the link of this one pager notes in the description box, so kindly utilize it. Let's see in the last chapter, the climate change. So stay tuned in Aspirants Frequency.